Hi everyone, it's Allison here. Thank you so much if you have been waiting. Tech was interesting this morning on Facebook. Thank you for being here. Apologies for being a couple of minutes late. Welcome. My name's Allison Bachmeyer. I'm really happy to be here talking with you today about Buddhas and butterflies. Some of you have heard about it from Transform Emotions into Energy, which is a 5-day, 5-session free course. Well, it's free until August 3rd. After that, it goes away. So please check that out as soon as possible on vibranttransformation.com. And an even more pressing news is Buddhas and Butterflies offers. We've opened that up today, and you have until midnight tonight, and then the bonuses go away. I'll talk more about those in just a second, okay? But know that that's something that you really want to pay attention to. The link, if you're really curious on what that all involves, is in the description, and I'll actually just quickly copy and paste it here for you as well, right here in the comment section. Okay, so there you go. And for our work today, this is hot on the heels of the 5 days Transform Emotion into Energy on purpose. It's here to integrate. So if you have anything specific that you would like to integrate after doing 5 straight days of working together, or maybe you did all the sessions on one day, however you organized it and that felt right for you, please always trust that first and foremost. Either way, however you did it, if you're feeling the need to integrate, this is what we're up to in this session. So if you have something going on that you'd like to mention, feel free to type it on in the comment section. I'm just going to wait for a few more people to join us before I get too deep into the session. Right now, I'd like to talk very briefly about Buddhas and butterflies because you guys had some really good questions. I know I talked about it yesterday in the Transform Emotions into Energy session, and I'm going to talk about it today, and you'll hear some overlapping information, and you might hear a few new things as well, okay? So first and foremost is the bonuses that expire at midnight tonight. So Buddhas and Butterflies is a series of weekly sessions that you can receive as a healthcare practitioner / parent, which is the original healthcare practitioner in my personal opinion. And I'm here to support those groups of people primarily because I like to make a huge impact. That's my calling. And I've been in the area of healthcare for over 15 years. I've been doing lots of one-on-one work, and I've spent a lot of time doing group sessions. So I've been doing group work for a little over 10, 12 years now. And what I commonly receive at feedback from everyone is that I can't believe that session was a group session. I thought that session was just for me. And that's because we're all far more alike than we are different by a long, long shot. So we all have similar problems, and how they apply may be unique in their expression, but at the foundation of it all, those underlying triggers have a lot of commonality, which is wonderful because it means we're not alone. Okay, so those bonuses that are expiring tonight at midnight, there's 2 of them. Core Reveal and Release is a series of videos that have been pre-recorded, and you actually have a few different variations in there because I've recorded a few different courses. So you can go through and watch them at your leisure. That's in reference to the material that I've developed heavily based on the Sedona method, and it works really well with emotional integration work. Okay, so that's why I have it as a part of this series, and it's why I really want to give that to you all as a part of signing up for this series. Okay? The other big thing is Treat Your Heart, which is a series of 5 body talk sessions, and it goes into information that's not taught anywhere else in all of the protocol out there. It is information that I received personally as I was working through my free fall instructor training with Dr. John Beltime many years ago now. And it's been built upon and enhanced somewhat since then as well. So feel free to check those out. They are available individually per purchase. If you were to actually buy them both separately though, well, together I mean, it would be a little over $600 is what the bill would come to for those guys. For Buddhas and Butterflies, what's interesting is that the price point is darn near the same for just that. So for Buddhas and Butterflies, for right now anyways, that will go up in the future, is $77 per month or $770 per year, which is basically 2 months free For those of you who like to commit, I always like to honor that energy and commit right back with a little bit of a reward. That's also why the bonuses are here too. For those of you who like to commit and sign up and do that early on, then you get to receive that work. Okay, now don't worry if you are thinking, I don't know too much about that. I'm going to go briefly into Buddhas and butterflies and explain what it is. I haven't spent a ton of time talking about it yesterday, but I did go into it a little bit. So if you do have access to that last session and transform emotions into energy, please check that out. And you'll also hear some overlapping info, I'm sure, as well. Okay, first and foremost, I think this is the quote that captures it. While burnout obviously has something to do with stress, overdoing things, not being centered, and not listening to yourself or your body, one of the deepest contributors to burnout, I believe, is the deep disappointment of not living up to your true calling, which is to help. Oh, right? Jen Brewer is the author of that quote, B-R-U-E-R. Okay? And the energy of that quote is really the foundation of why I started to do this work. I'll actually share it here in the chat feature. I'm seeing hellos. Hello, everybody. I keep calling it the chat feature. By chat feature, I mean comment section. You can tell I've been teaching a lot on Zoom lately. It's actually where we're training all of our Body Talk practitioners these days with the limitations on working in person. And it's actually expanded our reach really in a fantastic manner. And I love being able to work with people on Zoom. And the great thing is about practitioners who are learning on Zoom right now is they are becoming even more sensitive to the work right from the very beginning because they're working at it from a distance. So this is how foundational our work and distance work can begin, is right here at Body Talk Fundamentals. I digress on that though. But if you're curious, check it out. There's upcoming courses all the time, bodytalksystem.com. My website, vibranttransformation.com, will also have on the events calendar information for you there too. Okay, now back to Buddhas and butterflies. If you are here and you're listening, come on in and give me a little hello, welcome. Small biz owners like myself and entrepreneurs alike, to get around the Facebook algorithms as much as possible and to maximize the efficacy of those algorithms, really more than get around them, is liking, commenting, sharing as much as possible. I always say I get paid in gratitude, and sharing is my love language in this regard for sure. So as much buzz as we can raise, the more people get this work. And even if they don't sign up for the course, they get to receive this integration session, which is awesome. Okay, so I'm here for the impact first and foremost. So please get the message out there, share away. Okay, so for Buddhas and butterflies, I expressed that the quote really spoke deeply to me. And again, you've heard me have a huge heart for the impact. And the best way that I can do that, I've found, is to support healthcare practitioners. And healthcare practitioners, first of all, if you're a parent, that starts from the moment you have that little babe in your arms, and likely 9 months before that. Yeah. And if we were going to extrapolate on that definition of what a healthcare practitioner is, that includes anyone and everyone from medical doctors and nurses. And yes, I do have those on my group. And we also include everybody who's interested in working in the arena of healthcare. So maybe you haven't quite started your practice yet, but maybe you're looking to do that. This is one way to gain the support of a community behind you. The other aspects of healthcare practitioners that I commonly see in the group are energy workers. We've got a couple of breath workers in it. We've got anybody and everybody, honestly, from Reiki practitioners to counselors, you name it. I've likely seen them come through my doors. So whether you're practicing Acunact, Access Consciousness, nutrition, if you're a teacher, I honestly consider teachers to be one of the most significant healthcare practitioners as well. Just like parents, you're in charge of not just educating the health of the mind, but you're also in charge of keeping the children safe while they're in your classroom. And we have plenty of teachers who use Body Talk tools within their classrooms to support the health and well-being of all involved. So in this group, here's what's awesome about it. We do 3 sessions every single month, and then we take 1 week of every month to do integration work, which will also be, just like you're hearing today, later on in the session, energy work base along with reveal and release. So I use core reveal and release information and body talk information in the majority of my sessions. This is how I combine things. I have training in a wide variety of other modalities. I will point those out as we get into them. You've likely already heard me say I'm in training to become a breathwork facilitator. And I've got a series of other trainings that I will, if I go there in the session, point out that it's from that particular piece of my training. So that way you know what came from where. Okay? I like to represent things in full transparency as much as possible. Okay. Now, the cool thing is about Buddhas and butterflies is that it's actually already been underway for a little over a year, and people are getting fantastic results. They are loving the weekly supports. They're loving having access to it at their fingertips because every single session is recorded and posted in video and an audio format. So that way you can either watch it or listen to it, and it's always in your account. As long as, much like a Netflix subscriber, when you sign up for Netflix, you pay a monthly fee. Same thing here, and you have full access to all of the materials that we create in Buddhas and Butterflies moving forward from this date. I know it's been in operation previously. If you want access to those, I'm happy to discuss that with you. We can chat about that. But for right now, as it stands, the offer is for everything from here moving forward. If you want access to the past recordings, we can work out likely a deal for you. If you're curious, first you got to purchase this one though, and then we'll talk about that. Okay. So for the payment options, I mentioned the $77 a month, the $770 a year. Let's just put that into perspective with some other numbers for you. I'll keep it as gentle as possible for those of you who aren't interested in numbers and you're not math people. Put it this way, one session from me is $180 a month. If you were, or $180 per session. If you were to do a month of sessions with me, that's just shy of the cost of what Buddhas and Butterflies is for a year. So for the cost of basically 4 personal sessions, you get access to it for a year, and you get a phenomenal deal because all of those sessions work at that individual level for all the members that are a part of the group, whether you are live or listening to the recording. I've tested this out for years. I actually tested it out for years even before I started to charge people for it. I wanted to make sure it would work well. And I used to offer very frequent body talk study groups, and I would do recordings of sessions and I would have them listen to them, and then we'd listen to them, and then new groups would come in and they'd listen to them and they'd listen to them. You get the idea. And what we found is that people responded really, really well, even when the session had been pre-recorded years prior. Yeah. So my focus whenever I set up this work, and we know this from, these understandings in quantum physics, not to drop the relativity bomb too hard here, but time isn't real and our minds make it real. And yes, I have the actual quantum physics understandings built into my science degrees, and all my interests are very sciencey. I have a degree in anatomy. I have a degree in psychology. I was in medical school for a few years before I left to do this. Sometimes people think when they hear energy workers drop quantum physics, they don't know what that actually means. I've actually taken the courses, and yes, I thoroughly understand the relativity concept of time not being real. Now, to understand it intellectually is one thing. To understand it here at the heart level and embody that expression is another game. Yeah. So that took a few years to integrate as well before I started to work in this manner. Then tested it. Now we're here and offering, lots of different workshops actually on the website that have been done in just that manner. But this one in particular is the sweet spot of my soul right now, because I know that the ripple effect that you guys are making out there, especially right now at all times, is needed and is valuable. And if I can support you dealing with another layer of that stress that you are carrying around, then that would make me so very happy. So I'm here to serve you to the very best way and in the very best ways that I can. So in essence, this exploration, as you have already heard about, is about transforming emotions into energy. Emotion, energy in motion, is meant to give rise to healthy fuel. All of your emotions, fear, anger, grief, worry, sadness, overexcitement, you pick an emotion, pick a name for it. All of them have a healthy role to play. And all of them are meant to be used by your body mind. And this is your opportunity to step into doing that. This is one of the questions that I got. There is a 30-day money back guarantee, so you can go ahead and try it on for size and then decide, yes or no at that point, and then you get a refund, no questions asked about all of that. Okay, so they wanted to know if that was a real thing, and I promise you the 30-day money back guarantee is a real thing. It's not just a word or a line in there. So if you try it out on day 29, you've listened to all 4 sessions that we've done up to that point, and you're like, no, you know what, this isn't really for me, then no worries, full refund, moving forward. Okay? And it's always nice to, well, you don't get to quite try before you buy in this case, but it's always nice to be able to have that option available, I find. It gives peace of mind. Okay, so there is a 30-day money back guarantee. Yes, indeed, that is an actual thing for sure. Okay, oh, I got a yay. I don't know at what point I got the yay, but yay, thanks for celebrating. Okay, so in essence, the sessions here are designed to support the transforming of emotions into energy for you. Hence the name of the 5-day challenge. That's where it comes from. And well, I don't know about you, but sometimes I can get in that crunchy place where I'm devoting so much time to just like hanging on and somehow like letting everything overwhelm, and I'm just stretched too thin. So if that happens, that's my cue that I need to usually pay attention to self-care to a greater extent. This is one of the most helpful ways that you can do it because it's available for you every week on autopilot. It's just there for you. It'll magically appear whether you're able to be live for the sessions or not. The recording will be there. And in fact, I would say about 90% of my people, so far anyways, I've seen have listened to the recordings, so they're not always able to make it live. I work with people all over the globe, and sometimes those time zones just don't mesh up real well. Okay, so I promise you, you're missing nothing if you choose to join on the recording side, and primarily with that understanding in mind. Okay, so if you feel like you're also just maybe devoting too much time to just hanging on, and somehow you're failing in personal and professional lives, because how we do one thing is how we do everything, and you're getting exhausted being pulled between business and being the unifying force of your household, then yeah, there might be something here for you to receive in terms of relief. That sense of failure that can arise in those moments is usually connected to the feeling of just being completely overwhelmed. As you're thinking, how does she know this? She's speaking right to me. Well, it's because I only know what I've also navigated. I know how to work through these waters. I've been doing this work for over 15 years, and I've done it through all different states of depression, anxiety, high functioning, not so high functioning, nervous breakdown. We could probably throw a few things else there in the mix, a little PTSD at one point. And I know how to navigate and surf these waves. I know the tools that work. I know the tools that work well for healthcare practitioners who are busy, who don't have a ton of time to devote to this and yet have to, or else they won't be able to do all the things that they need to get done in their busy lives. So this is an opportunity to receive support in that vein. So if you are feeling unsure, burnt out, exhausted, you're just tired, you're frazzled, you're just done, then check this place out. You're in the right place for sure. I promise you that. I promise you that. If you're ready to break the cycle and you're ready to let this all rest, put it all down, and reclaim that connection to you and yourself, we're going to be exploring all of those emotions and their safe and healthy roles through the lenses of the 5 elements. You've heard me talk about those and transform emotion into energies. We're going to, for example, start with the earth element. And in the earth element, we're going to spend 1 week working on fear, then anger, then grief. Then we'll take a break and integrate. Then we're going to spend the next week on worry. The next one after that is on joy and overexcitement. And then after that, all the extra emotions, the guilt, the apathy, the shame, the jealousy, the overwhelm, whatever's there, we're going to dive into it and find and work with those. And then again, then again, we're going to work with our integration week. So each element takes approximately 2 months to work through. And then we do that for all 5 elements. After the 5 elements, we'll move on. We'll go into things like the meridians, either the 12 meridians or the 8 extra meridians, maybe the 12 astrological houses. We just finished doing the 7 chakras, so we won't be seeing that one come up anytime too soon. But there's other aspects, trust me, that we can work. I've also been really thinking about going into the 5 senses, but we'll see. I always toss it out to the group to vote. They get to pick, they get to choose, and then that's our focus for moving forward. Yeah. So the group that stuck it out for all 14 months to make it through all 7 chakras are total troopers, and they are the group that decided 5 elements is what they wanted to do. And if you're a part of the 5 elements group, then you get to decide what the next topic is going to be. Okay. So this is the place where we can begin to engage in moving back into joy, to stability, to abundance, to ease. We can start transforming both the personal and the professional lives to find that creativity, to find that freedom, to find that space inside of you, and to be able to hold that as your own space. So that way you have the space that you need to create, to work, to provide all that you do. And imagine, in addition to being able to provide all of that for everybody else, that now all those things that you do for others, you also get to receive. Oh, how nice would that be? This is ultimately your soft place to land. This is your place to rest. This is your place to be as you are and be fully accepted. No demands. Whew, who needs a place like that? Anybody? Okay. So first, I really need to qualify, don't do this journey. It's about receiving this journey. It's about playing, it's about exploring, and it's about having an adventurous side and getting curious. As long as you can maintain holy curiosity, H and is not the quite word that we're, or letter that we're starting this word off with, is the letter W, holy curiosity. So whole means healing in the root words. They are interchangeable. To be in a place of healing is to become whole. So if you can find holy curiosity, that would be akin to finding healing curiosity. So just staying curious with the emotions that are arising, the sensations, the feelings. Okay. So if you are either a brand new or an experienced practitioner, either way, and you're finding that inner critic is just overwhelming, it's speaking really loud, that doubter is inside of you and it's just getting bigger and bigger, holding you back maybe even just a little bit, creating some anxiety, keeping you up at night, etc., then maybe it's time to take a look at that. This is your opportunity to explore that further. If you're just looking for a new experience inside of you to experience life from, if you're looking for a community, for support, for another way, if you're ready to embrace that new level of vulnerability that comes with this, and that sense of safety in vulnerability, and yes, I promise you that is very possible and probable with this work, then you're in the right place again. Okay. If you're looking to find that other way to deal with that overwhelm, to deal with the feeling like a failure, to stop feeling like you're drowning in your thoughts and your feelings all the time, then again, you're in the right spot. If you'd like a more lighthearted way, I promise you that. If we're not doing it with some humor and some lightheartedness, we're doing it wrong. Okay. So if you're looking for a more lighthearted way of just dealing with all that life is throwing you, that buffet of curveballs can get heavy, I know, then again, in the right spot here. Okay. So if you're looking again for that lighthearted engagement, to get through those problems that you've been using to make yourself feel maybe even real with, or you'd like to address your cravings of self-connection, maybe you feel kind of disconnected and separate inside of yourself, or you're just intrigued, then I really invite you to come explore and see what this work is all about. I don't know of anybody else that's doing this work in the emotional realm in a subscription-based service. So we have the opportunity to break a sort of new ground here. And it may be possible that it's out there. I just don't know anybody else that's doing it, focusing on mental and health well-being for healthcare practitioners and doing energy work weekly on a subscription basis. This is pretty avant-garde stuff. So I'm really excited that you're here. I'm really excited that you get to be up to date on the latest and greatest adventures of what's happening in our world of energy medicine today. And in our go-go world, it's really easy to have to try to juggle all those things: family, life, kids, work, health, and then eventually one of those balls ends up dropping. And for most parents in particular, that ends up being their own health. For most healthcare practitioners, ironically, it ends up being their own health. And then sometimes, this happens sometimes, especially in the spiritual side, the energy worker side, it can happen. It happens though across really any other modality, true. Is that you have vulnerably shown up as with your symptoms and your issues. And then someone turns around and says, well, how'd you attract that? What about you created this issue? And not that it isn't healthy to explore that, but when it's coming from a place of any sort of shaming, then it doesn't support actual transformation. And if you've ever been witness to that, or if you've ever had that experience, just receive compassion. First of all, I'm so sorry. And that has been an attitude in that style of work. I was actually trained to actually work in that manner to a certain degree very long time ago. And that's changed greatly over the years. When you know better, you do better. Yeah. So with that understanding, this Buddha's Zen consciousness, butterfly's transformation, is created to work for transformation from a place of softness, of gentleness, of compassion that supports the evolution of your own consciousness at your own individual rates. How nice is that? Okay, loves. So the nature of our group work allows for that efficacy of group observation, and then in turn leads to exponential results. We get really fantastic results because of the group nature of the work that we do. This is a phenomenon that we have noticed for many, many years now in the field of energy medicine, since basically it's been around, honestly. And we have known that the more observation you give something, the more opportunities to heal it has. When there's a group observing everything, then there's even more opportunity to embrace that change, which is a little bit different from our Western medical model-minded, linear logic-based 2 + 2 = 4 approaches that we often take when it comes into the arena of healthcare. So I know that this might be a brand new concept for some of you. And FYI, if this is your first experience to anything in Body Talk, please check out my website, vibranttransformation.com, or check out bodytalksystem.com for more information on what Body Talk is and how it can best serve you. Okay. On my videos on my website about Body Talk, I break it down, as well as if you go to my sessions page, it's right there too. Not the videos, but I have an explanation of what Body Talk is for new clients. I highly suggest listening to that. Okay, now I think I've talked a lot about what's included already in this work, and we are going to be doing it all from that place of humility, honesty, authenticity, compassion. We're going to be honoring the principles of harmony and relationships with self and with others. How you do one is how you do both. So this isn't a you have to love yourself before you can love others type of an approach. That's also a form of spiritual abuse. As we grow one, we grow both. And we grow those in a sense of connection. Don't worry, introverts, this is not, now I'm a massive introvert, so sometimes I get a little bit leery when I hear the word connection. I'm like, what do you mean? How much more interaction is required? Yeah. So if you are in that boat, don't worry. You don't actually have to overtly participate in any real social manner in any sense of this work. You just get to experience the connection on an energetic level with the community. And we do have a Facebook group. You're more than welcome to jump on in and participate and express as much as you like. If you happen to be on the other side and you're like, I want to tell you everything, then that Facebook page is the way to go for you guys, for our Buddhas and Butterflies group. Okay. And I've already talked about the schedule. We meet on average weekly, and once in a while there's a week off because there's 48 there's 12 months in the year. If we times it by 4, that's 48 sessions, so we end up with a few weeks off here and there, and often around the holidays is when we save those up for. And then the other big thing that we have is that integration week that I mentioned. So it's 3 sessions and then 1 integration session per month that we do. Okay, so you get 4 sessions per month. Okay. So that is not too darn bad at all. We have a series of those bonuses that I've already talked about, the core reveal and release, the treat your heart for free. If you sign up today, you got to do it today, otherwise it changes. It's no longer available anymore. And then last but not least, I did get some questions about the schedule. Okay, so the schedule is on Wednesdays is when we typically do our sessions, and they're commonly done around noon or 1 p.m. MDT time zone. When we get the new group together here, I'll send out a survey and we will find some times that work best for the group. So I always reevaluate periodically and see, okay, when is working best for you? My schedule is pretty open in terms of being able to be fluid in that manner because I make my own schedule. So I'm pretty easy to work around. If we have a bunch of people from the other side of the pond, so to speak, there, then we may end up altering time zones as well. Not time zones, I'll be always in MDT and not moving, although I would love to. That would be lovely to head on over to New Zealand and Australia for a little while. That would be awesome. Okay, but I digress for now. We'll dream of travel plans later. And we will accommodate people from around the globe, and we often rotate our times so that way you can have the option of joining live if that does speak to you. But as mentioned earlier, all the things are recorded and all the things are available for re-listening as many times as you want, which is really darn helpful. Okay. So I think I've covered everything that you guys were asking about. If I haven't, please let me know. Send me another question. If, however, you are on the live right now and you want to ask something but you don't want everyone else to see it, just send me a Facebook message and that'll be nice and private because that'll just be for my eyes only. Okay? So you're more than welcome to share in that way. Whew. Okay, gang, we're just about to head into the session. Give yourself a slow, deep breath. Feel free to grab some water. That might have been me lecturing to myself right there. And let's just find a nice, quiet, cozy place. Maybe a place where you can get really comfy and sit or lay. And beginning here by means of breathing, giving yourself a few slow, deep inhales and exhales. Using every breath as an opportunity to release and let go. Begin to feel yourself sink even deeper into that cushion below you. Okay, loves. So I mentioned that this was integration work. We're actually going to start off with lymphatic drainage, cleaning out toxins, gunk, waste, low self-esteem, overthinking, overanalyzing. And we're doing it for two places. It's interesting. First off is the joints in the body. The joints represent our capacity to embrace transition and change. And the other big thing is the sinuses are popping up. So lymphatic drainage through the sinuses. And that might be why my nose has all of a sudden been running for this call. So out of nowhere. And as that works through the sinuses in terms of what they represent, and we think everything has a meaning or a metaphorical association from a body talk perspective. The sinuses are how we relate to our environment. Okay, and for this lymphatic drainage through the sinuses, we also need to run a permissions here. And the words simply are, my environment is safe, as in it's like literally safe to breathe in and filter everything that's coming in from the environment. It doesn't need to swell up and block or reject. And for the joints, same thing. We're actually going to run the exact same permissions there too, to also make sure that they're not swelling up, protecting, and trying to reject around that transition of change that's coming with transformation work. Okay, at the same time as that, we're going to run all 17 reciprocals, which help with alignment on all levels, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And then we're going to run, no surprise, diaphragm to intestines. This has been your homework for every single session if you're involved in the Transform Emotions into Energy series. You've heard me say this many times. And that looks like this. Taking a hand from the diaphragm and then moving down to the intestines. So we're sweeping. And while we're sweeping, we're tapping. If it's too much to do those at the same time, just separate out the movements. Sweep and then tap. Everybody breathe. We're going to tap this all in. And if you'd like to join me in the tapping, you're welcome to. It's certainly not required on this end. And when we're tapping over the head brain. You're just seeing my personal preference in tapping the gut brain and then the heart brain. You can tap them in any order that you like. When we tap over the head brain, this is saying fix it. The gut brain is embody it. The heart is save it. Whew, that's why I like it in that order, that heart brain. Nice. Everybody give that another slow, deep breath. If you've got water handy, feel free to hydrate. Oh, I'm seeing a few more hellos roll in. Hi, everybody. Hey, love. So next up, we need to remove a bundle of belief systems, it looks like. And the bundle of belief systems is actually hanging out in the thymus gland. The thymus gland sits just on top of the heart, and it represents our defensive patterns, all of our sabotage patterns, all of our issues from early childhood. There's good news coming. It also connects us to our higher power. It is our connection to the highest source of power. So for this thymus gland, we are taking off a bundle of belief systems that aren't yours, never were. And it's around the theme of rejection. So imagine all the different belief systems that people have around this theme of rejection, okay? And all the themes of rejection and how they played out maybe even in your lives. So looking at all of the ways in which that is maybe occurring even in this moment, in this day, in this week, this month, this year, this decade, this lifetime. Yeah. As we work with this theme of rejection here, it's actually bringing up a connection into a memory from a fetal life. And it's going into a time frame in which you were first born. I have been working with this for forever and a day, it seems now, with body talk work. What we see very commonly is that when the embryo is floating down the tube and it wants to implant onto the uterine lining, it sometimes has a bit of a wonky attachment, or it doesn't have a feeling of security and stability. And that can send the message of, I shouldn't be here, or the message of rejection. So it's actually tying into the memories of your implantation. And whether that was even just for, a moment feeling unstable, it's enough to create panic within babe. Or whether it felt completely unstable the whole time, that can also lead to even more panic and anxiety in babe. And then that turns out in adult life to show up in some way, shape, or form, and all of a sudden you're like, I didn't realize, but out of the blue, I seem to have developed anxiety. I didn't even know this was building up in my body. I didn't even realize that was happening. This is where we see a lot of our bigger, badder illnesses, diagnostic labels begin is in early childhood and all the way back down into fetal life. It can start from the moment of conception. Okay, we're not quite as born as blank slate as we'd like to believe that we are. Yeah. All right. So for the thymus gland, as we release and unhook this bundle of belief systems, and we address that active memory from embryonic life. We also need to run hydration through the conception vessel meridian. Hydration helps cells to absorb water and join and releases any impurities that just don't need to be there. The conception vessel meridian, it looks too dry from having excessive metal activation or excessive grief and dispersion happening. So as we run hydration here, the conception vessel meridian is your primary feminine. It runs in the midline of the front body. And its aim is to nurture and nourish every single yin organ and every aspect of the yin within you. that does refer to the feminine, regardless of if you're in a male body, a female body, or whatever gender you identify with. From a Chinese medicine perspective, you're still roughly 50-50 masculine and feminine. Yes, you tend to lean a little bit more to one side than the other. It's a relativity term. It's not this is yin and that's yang and that's the way it is. It's about the ratio or the balance, if you will. The conception of a meridian is pretty staunchly yin. It's very feminine. Okay, so as we're working with hydration of this, it's working from the entire pathway where it begins, which is at the perineum, space between either vagina or testes and anus, and then it rises up that front body and it goes straight up through to the midline. It joins onto the governing vessel at the roof of the mouth. If you lift your tongue up to touch the roof of your mouth, so if you lift that tongue up, now the conception vessel meridian is in constant communication with the governing vessel meridian, and that's actually how we're meant to sleep. Unless we have other things going on, whether we have sleep apnea or we have interesting faces or whatnot, we're meant to have that, tongue touch and have these two meridians cycle together. The governing vessel, if you haven't guessed already, is your masculine one. These two together, when they circulate really well, form the microcosmic orbit. Okay, that was a lot of words. The reason it's coming up is we actually need to link this conception vessel meridian into that microcosmic orbit of connection. And in this microcosmic orbit, this is a Taoist concept, and the cycle of those meridians, when they align, basically means that everything is in the most equal balance, synchronicity, and flow that it possibly can be inside of you in this moment. Oh, talk about integration on steroids, yeah? Okay. And then that in turn is linking into the heart. Since I'm on the topic of Taoism, there's actually an energetic Taoist posture, which we find all the time in free fall work or reveal and release work, as I'm calling it a lot these days. And that arch back into what they call the Taoist arch actually aligns the heart to be in alignment with direct communication with the heavens, as the poetic explanation of that goes. Yeah. So we're actually linking all of this into the Taoist arch. You don't have to bend yourself into that position if you're thinking, if I go there, I might break. It's okay. You don't actually need to physically be into it. We're just bringing in the energy of the Taoist arch to connect heart to all the energy present of the celestial forces. Whatever name you want to give that is perfect. Okay, then we're going to link that all through to a part of the limbic or the emotional brain. It's called the globus pallidus. And actually connects you to your inner teacher, your inner guru, your sense of knowing what works best for you. So think of this as connecting into the capacity to go, oh, there's a new feeling, there's a new sensation. Whether I like it or I don't, I'm just going to check in and see, does it need anything from me? We tend to do that mostly with things that we don't like, so that's okay if you start there. Just go, oh, like, what do you need? Is there anything I can do to support you? And just tuning into asking your body what it needs. We're to connect this to the part of your body mind that actually is meant to give rise to that awareness, which is your lower dantian. I talked a lot about that in the Transforming Fear session, I believe. So that lower dantian hangs out just below the navel, and it's about an inch inward into the body. It carries our basic vitality, and it's meant to rise and circulate throughout the body mind. As we bring this right back full circle into the lower dantian, what I'm seeing is actually a natural, healthy expansion of the Wei Qi, which is an energetic layer that surrounds your entire body mind. And it's meant to do a few things: protect, synthesize, communicate are the top ones. We would be here all day talking about actually any one of these concepts, but in particular Wei Qi, if we got right into all the functionalities that it does for us. So this Wei Qi, as we're expanding it, think of it as, when pregnant women glow, the reason they glow is because they have Wei Qi for two. That glow is the Wei Qi. So think of this as expanding your inner glow and containing the sense of you within it without having to scatter you into all the other aspects of, well, wherever it is you're sending yourselves, which could be a lot of places. We can often feel scattered in a number of directions and not even know where we land. So as we bring all of you back together, that Wei Qi is going to continue to ensure that that is a more sustainable place to stay put, if you will. So that way you're not as, you don't have a tendency to get so scattered or so frazzled with such ease. To support that, we're running switching, which helps the cobra deal with stress, aka supports resiliency, through to the Wei Qi and making sure that it's best able to support and stabilize in that manner. Okay. Now that in turn is linking into another part of your limbic brain. We're actually going into a part that deals with intuition and imagination, which is actually the exact same part of the brain. It also works with speculation, anticipation, okay, intuition, imagination. And then we actually just need to connect it through to the brow chakra to help you not connect to just what feels right, but what also seems to be right, and to have a sense of being able to connect to that from a sense of your inner visionary. Okay, cool. So connecting that inner visionary in here, we're going to give that a few slow, deep breaths and tap here. And giving out another slow, deep breath. Everybody hydrate. Take as much time as you like to keep on tapping if that feels right for you. Okay. On that theme of being scattered and being frazzled, we need to pick that up and keep working with a little bit more of that, it would seem. That's what's coming up as the next priority. In case you didn't know, body talk is based on priority. We all have lots of problems, but what's the most important thing to focus on? What's ready to shift in this moment right now? That's what we're addressing here. Okay. So for the next priority related to that, we're looking at where that's coming from. And it's actually coming from the need to want to do too much, which underlying that is the need to feel wanted, the need to be wanted. You choose your own word. Feel wanted, be wanted. So if you've ever been rejected, which is a big part of where we started, sometimes that overcompensation shows up as, let me just pretzel myself and into any configuration I can, so that you'll just like me, so that you'll just love me, so that you'll just want to be around me. So this feeling of being wanted is coming up. Okay, so in this feeling of being wanted, and right now actually it's coming up to do core reveal and release work. So we're going to do that here. So imagine that you can welcome in the feeling of being wanted. Pardon me, I'll say that's just slightly different. Although that works too if you want to keep it with that one. And now imagine you can also welcome in the feeling of being unwanted, which is where the need to be wanted comes from. The feeling unwanted. Just welcome it. Welcome all of that energy. Even though it might seem like you've spent a lifetime pushing it away, just welcome it to be here. It ends the push-pull struggle. Yeah, good. And now, just for now, just check and see. Could you let that go? Just answer yes or no. Feel free to say it out loud. Okay. And just for now, regardless of whatever you answered previously, just for now, would you let this go? When? And if there's anything that remains around this theme of feeling unwanted or having to feel like you are always working to be wanted, invite that in and allow it to be here. And then welcoming all the stories that go with that. Welcoming all the judgments, welcoming all the feelings, welcoming all the needs, all the wants, all the desires, all the expectations, the judgments. Welcoming the sorrows, the frustrations, welcoming it all to just simply be here. And then welcoming the sense that this is somehow about you, that it's personal, that it's yours. All right. And then welcoming what is beyond all of this, welcoming the all that is beyond this. Give that another slow, deep breath. And just notice that in this place there's nothing missing. Okay, you can allow yourself to be here as you are. If you're thinking you want one more round, we're just going to do one set of questions one more time. Just welcome whatever remains here for you. Around this theme of feeling unwanted, being unwanted, and allow it to be here. Perhaps even going for gold, welcoming it much like you would an honored guest into your home to share a meal with. Yeah, and then welcoming all of this, all the stories that go with it, all the judgments, the expectations that are wrapped up in it all. Welcome them to be here. Yeah, and now, just for now, could you let this go? Yeah, and just for now, would you let this go? Just as best as you can. 1% is perfect. When? When would you be willing to let that all go? Just gonna tap that in. You just simply allow yourself to be here as you are, giving yourself a few slow, deep breaths. And if you are missing ending on welcoming the all, then you're welcome to do that. You can welcome the all that is beyond all of this right now, breathing here. Yeah, nice. And we're going to link that into the nervous system. We're working with primarily the central nervous system, which is the brain and the spinal cord, although just a little bit where the nerves come off of the spinal cord for the first few inches. This is not something that's very anatomical. So the first few bits of those nerves are representing the beginnings of communications. So think of this as balancing to how it is you're beginning all of your communications. Do they begin from a place of being unwanted? Do they begin from anticipation of rejection? How is it you're beginning your communications with yourself, with others, with work, with personal stuff, with family stuff, with friends, with, well, you got the idea, I think. Okay. Then that in turn is linking up into the head of the caudate nucleus, which is a part of the limbic brain. It's a part of the emotional brain. It gives rise to our ability to reason. It also works with addressing things like depression and irritability. Okay, and then we need to balance that and connect it through to the septal region, which I think I also talked about at some point in this series of Transform Emotions into Energy. And the septal region is our center for bliss and well-being. It's incidentally also our center for orgasm. Okay, nice. Beauty. Then all in turn is linking into the cerebellum. So the cerebellum at the back of the brain, just above the brainstorm there, helps to coordinate movements. In this case, working with its capacity, its energetic nature to coordinate, not necessarily motor movements, but communications. And that turn is linking into the planet of Mercury and the part of the brain that it rules, which is, fancy word alert, subthalamic nucleus. Works with our discernment and our intellect, also moving our muscles actually. Okay, beauty. And now that's actually linking into a more direct physical repair between the nervous system and the muscles and the skeleton. So repairing nervous system to musculoskeletal system. And how I'm seeing it is almost like a little mini defrag where we shake off all the clutter that doesn't need to be here anymore, and what remains can be readily resourced and accessed, my goodness, for healing. Much like that, it's allowing for the shaking of the cobwebs off of the old and to merge the nervous system with the musculoskeletal system to allow for them to be on the same page. It's as if some are dealing with old programming, some are dealing with the new programming, or the new awarenesses that have released some of that old programming. And we just need to get them both on the same time zone, if you will. Some of you is like living way back then, and some of you is like way projected into the future. So we're just bringing everything into here and now. Okay, beauty. And then we're going to link that integration into the earth element as it connects us to our sense of being here, being present, being grounded, and having a sense of sweetness as that foundational energy from which we push off of in life. It's said to be that you're never without joy. Despite all the upheaval that may be happening in your life, we are never to be without joy. It's always here. It's your birthright energy. If it doesn't feel like it's always present, then that might be because there's something blocking or covering or occluding it. Yeah. We're actually going to address with one of those pieces that's occluded right now. And I see it as almost like a bit of a cloud cover through the upper body here. And it's primarily in the rib cage region, but it's going just a little bit further down and just a little bit further up. Okay, so address that. To address that, we need to run a cellular repair. And it's actually on the concept of emotional upheaval and the fear of if I transition through my emotions, that might create more upheaval. So if that's your belief system, then that might well end up happening. So as we address that belief system, think of this as releasing any resistance from making transitions easy to integrate, easier, and with access to flow internally so that you have the resources that you need to navigate this new terrain. And all that is collectively linking through to the heart energy fields, all things heart. Heart meridian, heart brain, heart chakra, the Shen, the center of us, spirit according to Chinese medicine. Okay, and then we're running another cell repair, restoring cells back to their fullest potential of health. That's what cellular repair does. And it's for something acquired in this lifetime. It's actually on a physical level. Oh, it's actually on the diaphragm. We're repairing the feeling of being sucker punched by life. Okay. Give that all a few slow, deep breaths. And then we're going to work with circulating all the healing resources through to this arena, including blood that carries our passion, nerve our communication, lymph that drains our toxins, our gunk, our waste, our low self-esteem, or overthinking, or overanalyzing, our chi or vitality, consciousness or awareness, or right down into the electrons, protons, solitons, neutrons. Also working with all those sounds, the colors, the frequencies of all the chakras, major and minor alike. Also working with endocannabinoids that lower inflammation, anxiety, and depression. Excuse me. Lots of talking this week. And it also works with the circulation of endorphins and hormones. Okay, beauty. In addition to that, we're also bringing in the planetary energy of Venus, which is the planet of comfort, of balance, of grace, of all that feminine nurturing and nourishment. And specifically, we're working with the archetypal energy of the mother, helping you to internally connect to your own inner mother and inner mother yourself. And that in turn is linking into the 12th house, house of endings, house of letting go, house of peeling back the layers that aren't you, the false masks. And then linking that through to the first house, consciousness of new beginnings, new starts, developing new aspects of your body, your mind, your personality. And then we're linking that all right to almost where we started in the conception vessel meridian, so that that transition of letting go of the old and stepping into the new can now be embraced with a sense of nourishment. That whole process in and of itself, regardless of whatever you're releasing, just the process of doing it can also be an act of healing, nurturing, and nourishing. Okay, beauty. We're going to tap here. Slow, deep breaths. Okay. And then almost like a magician's curtain, I'm seeing like this big veil around the whole body, just around the outside though. And we need to do an emotional release of grief from the whole body. And with that, the curtain just like drops away with ease to reveal that underneath version of you and allow it to be revealed to you. And maybe I should change up the order of words from reveal and release to release and reveal, but I think you get the idea. Okay, and as that new version is here, it's almost like a ta-da celebratory moment. And we're just going to run a cell repair one more time on the skin, the entire external lining of you. And it's just cleaning off, it looks like, any old little bits of emotions that may have been stuck, that were stuck between integration from the Wei Qi. So I should back up. I haven't talked a lot about the Wei Qi. I just alluded to it very briefly earlier. The Wei Qi energy fields, we talked about protect, communicate, synthesis. Anything that enters your nervous system or your perceptual awareness within your five senses has to go through the different regions of your energy fields, the Wei Qi. So it hits your Wei Qi first, and then it steps into your awareness. There's a few other processes that it goes through to rise up there. Okay, so when we're working with the Wei Qi, there was just this little sticky bit around where the Wei Qi hooks in, which is just underneath the skin. Okay, so as we do this emotional cleanup here, it looks like it was the Wei Qi's way of trying to get to the emotional clutter, if you will, and contain it before you had to deal with just one more thing in your day. Okay, it's just unfortunately set up this little thin trapping of emotions. So we're just cleaning house here across the board. And then we're doing one more lymphatic drainage for the skin and the Wei Qi alike to continue to drain on any toxins, gunk, waste, low self-esteem, overthinking, overanalyzing. Okay, beauty, give that a few slow, deep breaths. All right, nice. Give that another slow, deep breath. Feel free to grab a sip of water. Okay, loves. So this is the sort of thing that we are doing all the time over at Buddhas and Butterflies every week. We have an hour where we meet. We usually use about 40-45 minutes of that, sometimes a little bit longer if there's one-on-one things or if there's questions or if I'm just really super chatty that day. Yeah? So you've had a really good taste of the type of work that we do and then the integration in a series of mini little sessions that have all We smush them all together. We could call them like a session or maybe 2 sessions worth of Buddhas and butterflies stuff that we're working with. And I really encourage you to check out more on the website if anything that I've said is speaking to you. If you're feeling relief and you are enjoying the place that you're in right now, please do share this work. And even again, if you don't sign up for the course or anything like that, then just please share the work so that people can continue to benefit and receive the impact from this integration work. Okay. This is their very first experience to body talk. They didn't do the transform emotions into energies. That's okay. They can start here. There is a lot to integrate that is happening in this year. Fair to say? Fair to say. Okay, so support that integration for all the lovely human souls that you are connected to in your circle. Please to support yourselves as much as you can. And when we support our circle around us, we end up supporting ourselves. It's a two-way street for sure, I've noticed. Okay. All right, my loves. You have homework, diaphragm to intestines. Keep that going, as well as cortices. Cortices is mandatory homework for everybody who's ever had a body talk session. Check it out on vibranttransformation.com. Just scroll all the way down to the bottom and you'll see a link to cortices. You can Google for YouTube searches on how to do videos on cortices. Bodytalksystem.com has videos on cortices. Everybody and their dog has a video on cortices, it feels like these days. So feel free to check them out. There's no shortage. If you Google Body Talk cortices, you'll be able to find something, I promise you. Now, if you're still noticing changes from transform emotions into energy, please keep those emails coming. I'm loving receiving all of that work. And it's free. Today's session is free too. Just share it. That's all you got to do. Okay. Really enjoy getting to work with you all and share my work with you all in this way. And I think I'm almost out of words, believe it or not. That does happen. Now, here's the thing. If you want more integration, and you've made it to the end of this video, and you would like even more integration, drop it in the comments, and maybe I'll come back over the next 2 days before that August 3rd deadline is up, okay? This Buddhas and Butterflies, Transform Emotions into Energies, they both go away on Monday, August 3rd, midnight MDT time zone. So I'm available and I'm kicking around this weekend. If you have any questions, comments, queries about it all, please do let me know. Reach out. If you want more integration work, drop it in the comments and let me know there. And we'll carry on. Okay, and maybe you'll see me pop up again this weekend still. Okay. Mwah. I'm going to sign off for now, y'all. Thank you so much for your participation and for all of your loved ones to support you in getting here. My thanks to them as well. Okay. Have yourselves a fantastic rest of your weekend. Bye for now.